My name is Martin Geddes. I'm the Head of Strategy for BT Design, which is the integrated IT and network division of BT. I've been thinking about telephony for a long time because it's the core of our business, maybe 80% of all telecoms revenues worldwide. However, it's also strangely neglected and it stagnates as a product. There's very rarely a VP for voice in any telco, and we tend to assume that the product will have the features it's always had and will work the way it's always had and will have the business model it's always had. And it takes newcomers to come along, companies like Apple, to come and challenge our assumptions. For example, with visual voicemail, which changes how we interact with our voice messaging. And there remain lots of gaps between what the customer really wants and what the product currently offers. I think that there's an underlying assumption that underpins telephony that is no longer true. And that assumption is that people's time is cheap and that network resources are expensive. On mobile telephony, so in 1994, a cellular minute was about 70% more expensive than the average wage of a college graduate. By 2004, it was 5 times cheaper. However, the product hasn't changed to reflect that. And the consequences of this gap between what the product currently does and what the users require is driving them to use other forms of communication. So for example, I read recently how usage of voice minutes across fixed and mobile combined had peaked in Denmark, and that's a phenomenon that will be repeated across many developed countries and markets. I think there's integration to be done in the personal productivity tools that we use that help us organise and arrange our time and make it really to answer who should I talk to next and what conversations should I be having and how can I turn this into action items and track what I'm doing. What I think is really disruptive is a complete transformation of the business model, which is not trying to satisfy the needs of the end user directly, but trying to satisfy the needs of other parties who want to interact with that end user. However, that's only the start. I think there are all kinds of untapped opportunities going forward to optimize our products and services in largely unthought of ways, to take pain and friction out of interactions between these upstream customers and end users. But text messaging is a very simple product and it's almost a $100 billion business. So it's actually by creating huge volumes of transactions and interactions with these small improvements that we generate huge amounts of money. Where I think the big money is in integrating transactions with the underlying telecoms products. Rather than trying to think about how to sell more $1 or $2 a month capabilities or 10-cent transactions to the end user, how do you use that relationship with the end user to take problems with efficiency and effectiveness out of business processes for other people? The summary is that I think the money isn't in trying to package up and sell new end user services. The money is in trying to serve these upstream customers by optimizing how we connect, how we interact, and how we transact. And to do that, we need to exploit our customer data and relationships. It's what we know about the customer. Do we know your email address? Do we know what communications methods you prefer? When do you communicate? How do you communicate? Who else you communicate with? That's going to be the raw material that we build this new business from. And I believe it's going to be a very profitable business. Because just like today, when someone wants to call you, a telco receives a termination fee because they have a monopoly on that connect part to you. Likewise, when some company wants to interact with you, if it's only the telco that really understands you, then there's going to be very healthy margins in exploiting those capabilities. And I think the opportunity is in servicing some of the companies that you see at eComm at the moment. No one telco on its own, no one operator can achieve this alone. It's going to require a great deal of cross-industry collaboration and an interaction with each other. And eComm is the perfect forum in which to start that conversation.